You repay kindness with betrayal. I saved your life, but you repay me with death. Hear me, spirits of the forest. Let my blood be my voice. From this day, every female child of this throne shall be born blind, and every son born of this royal blood shall be an imbecile.
Long ago, in a land far beyond the rivers and hills, there lived a great king named Obianuko the Great. His palace stood tall at the heart of the kingdom, built with shining white stones that caught the sun. His land was rich, his people happy, and traders from distant towns came to seek his blessing. King Obianuko had only one child, a son, Prince Adirika. The boy was strong, handsome, and loved by everyone. He was the pride of the kingdom and the light of his father's eyes. Wherever he went, songs followed him. But one morning, darkness entered the palace. The prince, who had gone to bed healthy and cheerful, woke up sick. His body burned like fire, yet he shivered like one touched by cold. He cried in pain, and strange words came from his mouth. Servants ran in confusion, the queen wept, and the king's heart shook with fear. He called the best healers in the land. They gave him roots and herbs. They prayed and chanted. But the more they tried, the worse the prince became. His body grew weak, his skin lost color, and his eyes rolled like a man seeing things beyond this world. Days turned to weeks, and no cure worked. The palace became quiet like a graveyard. Hope began to fade. Then one evening, an old seer arrived at the palace. His beard was long and white like dry cotton. He looked at the prince for a long time, and when he spoke, his voice was heavy with mystery. "This sickness is not ordinary. It is not of flesh, but of fate. The cure is not in your herbs or gold. The cure lies deep inside the evil forest of Ulumma." The king trembled. The queen gasped. Everyone knew the evil forest, a place feared by all. Those who entered rarely returned. Strange cries echoed from its heart, and spirits were said to roam freely within. The king asked, "Who will go there?" The seer closed his eyes and spoke again. "Only one who walks in darkness, yet sees clearer than all. One whose eyes have known night since birth." Before the king could speak again, the old man turned and left the palace, disappearing into the night. For days the king thought deeply. His son's life hung by a thread. He prayed for a sign, and it came in the form of a whisper. The people began to speak of a blind girl who lived at the edge of the village, a girl said to have strange powers. Her name was Amara. Amara was blind from birth, yet she was known for her beauty. Her skin shone like evening gold, and her voice was gentle like river wind. Though she could not see, she knew things others did not. She walked freely in places others feared, and it was said that spirits spoke to her in dreams. When the queen heard of her, she sent soldiers to bring her to the palace. When Amara entered, the hall went silent. Even without sight, her presence filled the room. She knelt before the throne and bowed her head.
The queen spoke softly. "My daughter, they say you have wisdom. My only child is dying. If truly you can help us, please save him." Amara lifted her face slowly. Her eyes were white like milk, but her voice was firm. "I know where the healing is," she said, "but the path is dangerous. The evil forest does not welcome the living for free. A price must be paid." The king leaned forward. "What price?" Amara replied, "If I must go, then I go under one condition. When the prince is healed, he must marry me, not as pity, not as charity, but as his wife and queen." The king's eyes widened. The hall was filled with whispers. "A blind queen?" someone murmured. The king was silent for a long time. Then he looked at his dying son. The boy was pale and weak, breathing like one already halfway gone. The king sighed deeply. "If you save my son," he said at last, "you shall be his wife." The words were sealed before the gods. The queen cried, but she said nothing more. That same night, the healers washed Amara's hands with holy water. Priests prayed for her, and guards were sent to lead her to the edge of the evil forest. Before sunrise, she began her journey. The forest stood dark and silent, filled with the smell of ancient spirits. The guards stopped at the border. None dared go further. But Amara walked forward without fear. Her steps were steady. She did not stumble or turn back. The forest swallowed her like a shadow. Hours passed. Then night fell. The guards waited at the border, but she did not return. Some believed she had died. Others whispered that the forest spirits had taken her soul. Meanwhile, in the palace, the prince's life was fading fast. His mother sat beside him, holding his hand and crying quietly. The king stood by the window, watching the moon, praying silently to any god that would listen.
Deep in the evil forest, Amara pressed on. She followed whispers only she could hear. The air was cold, and unseen things moved around her. But she kept walking, guided by something stronger than fear. At the heart of the forest, she found an old tree blackened by time. Its roots twisted like snakes, and in its hollow was a sacred gourd tied with old charms. She knelt and touched it. A cold wind blew. Spirits murmured in the air. She spoke ancient words known only to her heart. Slowly, the charms fell off, and the gourd opened. Inside was a glowing substance, the healing essence. Amara bowed her head and thanked the spirits. Then she made her way back through the forest, guided by the voices of unseen beings. At dawn, the guards saw her walking out from the mist, holding the gourd close to her chest. They could not believe she was alive. They took her back to the palace in haste. The queen ran to meet her, tears falling from her eyes. Amara asked that the prince be washed and laid on white cloth. She poured the glowing substance on his body and began to chant softly. Suddenly, the prince's body shook. Her mother screamed. Then, slowly, he began to breathe deeply. Warmth returned to his skin. His fingers moved. His eyes opened. The queen shouted for joy. The king fell on his knees and thanked the gods. The whole palace rejoiced. The next morning, drums echoed across the kingdom. The prince was alive again. People danced in the streets. Songs of victory filled the air. But amid all the joy, Amara sat quietly in her room, forgotten. The promise of marriage had faded from everyone's lips. 3 nights later, the queen reminded the prince of the vow his father made. "My son," she said, "remember the blind girl who risked her life for you. You must keep the promise." The prince frowned. "Mother," he said, "how can I marry a blind woman? A queen should be seen and admired.
What will other kingdoms think of me?" "She saved your life," the queen said softly. The prince turned away, his face hard as stone. "She did what she chose to do," he said coldly. "I cannot make her my wife. It would be a shame upon the throne. I can give her anything, gold, land, riches, but not marriage." The queen's voice trembled with disappointment. "But your father and I have given her our word," she said, "and words, my son, have consequences." But the prince walked away in anger, his footsteps echoing through the royal hall. That night, Amara, the blind girl, walked slowly into the palace. Her stick tapped against the marble floor as she made her way before the king and the queen. Her voice was calm, but her heart was heavy. "I have kept my side of the bargain," she said softly, "and I hope you will keep yours too, my king." But the king and queen remained silent. Before another word could be spoken, the prince stormed in. "I cannot marry you," he shouted. "I cannot marry a blind girl. Take riches, take gold, take anything you want, but not my hand." Amara turned away, her tears falling like rain. She left the palace heartbroken, her sobs fading into the night. And from that night onward, a thick darkness began to fall upon the kingdom, a darkness no light could chase away. Thank you for watching this episode. The story continues in episode 2. What happened to Amara after that night? Would you have blamed the prince for refusing to marry the blind girl? Share your thoughts in the comment section below.